Hello and welcome to my potentiation journey. Ah. I'm going to start off with a little bit on how I discovered regenetics, and then I'm going to delve into my experience thus far after performing my activation. So I discovered the regenetics method while reading a book by Eileen McCusick called Tuning the Human Biofield. And throughout that book, she references a lot of literature. She references studies, books, you name it, as to how to understand the science of sound healing. And at some point in this book, she references a book called Potentiate Your DNA by Saul Luckman. And after all of the things that I've read up until this point, it all seemed very interesting to me. But when I read the title of this book, I started sobbing. I had full body chills. I just had this massive emotional release. And there was no other reason that I could tell than the fact that this was the work that I needed to come to understand. Like, this was the next step in my journey of not just healing myself, but potentially being a healing facilitator for others in a new way. Because being a massage therapist, I already do wonderful work. But so I'm having this huge emotional release, and I pretty much instantly go and find the book and order it, and I'm just in huge anticipation of like, what is this going to do for me? I didn't really know anything about it other than the little bit that Eileen mentions in her book. And as I start reading Potentiate Your DNA, I realize that I have actually manifested this work. And I did so by having an affirmation that I have said every day, or almost every single day, for 2, maybe 3 years now. And I got it from, it's kind of a riff off of one that that was written by Stella Sea Spirit. Shout out to her work. It's incredible. She's got this super witchy blog that's great for, whatever witchy stuff that you might need to know more about. She's wonderful. But I adapted her like little morning routine, and I would say, I asked my spirit guides and higher self to please purify my aura, realigning it with my original sacred blueprint, balancing my chakras, and sealing off any energy leaks while grounding me into a higher consciousness. And the reason why I mention this is because that is the core, or just like the, in a nutshell, understanding of what potentiation offers you. It's literally rearranging your genetic blueprint, reverting it back to its original code, the code that you were designed to come into this world with, which, is accessed through your aura. And then also it realigns your chakras, it heals your chakras, and sealing off any energy leaks. They go into, with potentiation, they talk about what's called the fragmentary body. It's also known in some cases as like the pain body. I think of it as like the original sin, biblical terms. But you come into this world with, in your sacral chakra, pretty much just like this black hole, this vortex that is sucking you of your life energy. It's just kind of a portal for negativity, and so we all come into this world with it, and the point of potentiation is to seal that off. So I'm saying, realigning my original sacred blueprint, and realigning my chakras and sealing off this energy leak, and then grounding me into a higher consciousness, which when you seal off your fragmentary body, you are allowing yourself to be more connected in a whole fluid way, which is going to ground you into, you know, Christ consciousness or unconditional love, which is what Source, God, you know, the universe, that's what that is. You know, the energy all around us is unconditional love. And so it was just so mind-blowing to realize that is exactly all that I asked for. Asking my spirit guides, my higher self, to give that to me every single day, and then they served it to me on a silver platter. So really incredible, and I just think it's really fascinating. And it really affirmed to me that I was on the right path in discovering this work, because it felt divine. So anyway, thank you for listening to that. So I potentiated myself, I activated myself on October 1st. And for the next 60 something days, or like every so often, I would make a little video vlog, a vlog, as they might say, going into what I was feeling, what symptoms were coming up for me. And I have gone through those videos and I've written down the noteworthy symptoms that I was experiencing. Now, I want to make it very clear that this is my experience with potentiation. Everybody's going to have a very different experience, and I knew that mine was going to be a little bit more intense because I have countless genetic mutations. I mean, everybody does, but I, through genetic testing, have come to understand that I am very, very mutated. And I'm also severely traumatized, and I have just had a gamut of things happen in my life, you know, growing up in the environment I did in a farming community, just being, you know, literally poisoned every single day as a child. Like, there's so many attributes that made it clear to me that I wasn't going to have the easiest time like some people might. So I'm going to list some not so savory things, but the point of potentiation is to bring all of your illnesses and your diseases to the surface so that they can no longer be within you. So you have to get it out. It doesn't just disappear because magic. Like, there's a biological process that needs to happen in order for you to be well. And I think that's really important to point out. Like, if you do experience any negative feelings, it's because you're supposed to. And I know that's hard to hear, but you go through hard stuff all the time. And if this could be maybe some of the last times you experience those hard things for the rest of your life, why wouldn't you? You know? Okay, so day one of activation for me. After my activation, I felt my crown chakra burst open and just felt like, ah! I've got spirit fingers happening above me. It just felt so intense. Like, my crown chakra was activated to the fucking nines. It was so intense. And other than that, I didn't really feel anything like super crazy. You know, I didn't have like any like huge mental downloads. I didn't feel like I received any special messages. It was just like, crown has been activated and now move on. So I had done this in the evening, and me and my partner had plans to go out to dinner. And dinner was about an hour away because we were going to a restaurant that we really loved in another neighboring town. I had gone to the bathroom before we left, and then by the time we get there, I gotta pee again because I drink a lot of water. And I had realized, and so this is gonna sound like TMI, but I feel like it's important to share. In the 2 hours since I potentiated, I found myself from not having any symptoms at all to having a full-blown herpes outbreak in the matter of 2 hours. And if you know anything about herpes, if you've ever had herpes, cold sores, whatever it might be, you know that leading up to when you actually start to show like an ulcer, you start to feel tinglies, you start to feel like, just like little indications that you're about to have an outbreak, so that and when you have herpes, you're just really careful because you don't want to spread it, and you just learn to tune into that part of your body. And I didn't have any indications. And by the time, and I, had just gone to the bathroom 2 hours before, I had nothing. Nothing was there, no discomfort. And then all of a sudden, I have an open sore. It didn't just go from, it wasn't just like the beginning of an ulcer. It was an open wound at this point, which usually takes a couple of days in the herpes process. And I was annoyed, but then I was also like, this is potentiation. This is me purging already, so fast, so soon. And it was just, okay, it's doing its job. All right, I can't believe that it happened so fast, but wow, okay, we're here. Now, day 4, I started to feel really apathetic. I had severe body pains. I was exhausted, irritable, self-loathing, and feeling lots of hopelessness. I was just in the throes of this really intense depressive mood. And, and I probably also didn't feel good because I was in a herpes outbreak too, And then day 6, my mood was up and I was feeling good. However, mouth sores were beginning. Now, I have an autoimmune disorder called Beckett's disease, which attacks your mucous membranes. And so more often than not, it shows up as ulcers in my mouth and mouth sores were beginning for me at this point. So again, purging, which I totally anticipated. Day 10, feeling happy, but I was really learning to allow myself to be happy without contributing it to feelings of mania and without it having anxiety behind it. Like I felt my brain actively changing and how it responds to basic emotions. Normally, in the past, if I was happy, it was because I was manic, because of all of the mental stuff that I've experienced over the years. So I was realizing that my brain was trying to remove feelings of happiness from feelings of mania and anxiety. I was doing some heavy metal detoxing. My skin was really itchy in certain parts. My dreams started to become really intense at this point, and I was working through what felt like a lifetime of relationships because I was like everybody I've ever met in my entire life, from childhood up until now. They were all in my dreams. So many familiar faces, and that's normally not how I dream. Normally it's like strangers in my dreams. So that was day 10. Day 19, my mouth flared. Like I went 9 days where I didn't update because I just went with my autoimmune disorder. My mouth flares were coming to a climax. And so I was really miserable because when I have mouth flares, I can't eat, I can't drink, I can barely talk. I don't want to do anything. Life is just really hard. But mentally, emotionally, I was feeling better in myself, more sure of myself. I was feeling less triggery, and I use the word unshakable, that I have this deep inner peace. which comes to be one of the most profound things that has come from this work for me. Day 22, I start to notice what I call echoes of mental illness, which is also the rewiring of my brain, neuroplasticity stuff. This is really, it was so interesting to me because I would have moments of where my mental illness, so I've been diagnosed, and I don't take mental health diagnoses super seriously, but they just kind of can help guide you in a direction of getting the help that you need. I always take them with a grain of salt, but like, okay, what can I do with this information? So I was diagnosed borderline personality, bipolar, and I also came to develop dissociative disorder at a time where I was at my worst. So I've done a lot of work over the years with my mental health, and at the point that I potentiated, I was doing pretty well. Better than I've ever done in my life, feeling really stable and secure, but also would have flare-ups every now and again. At this point though, day 22, I noticed that the pathways in my brain that my mental illness would travel down, I felt them trying to fire, but then they would putter out. And it literally felt like echoes in my head. It's the only way I can describe it. It was the strangest feeling. I felt those neural pathways trying to activate and then dissipating, and then what felt like new neural pathways being created. So my mental illness was dying, and my brain was being rewired. I'm really lucky that I could distinguish what it was because I've received neurofeedback in the past, and it's literally where they put electrodes on your head and they shoot electricity through your brain to create new pathways. And so I knew exactly what that feeling was. And it was just like, oh my God, my brain is seriously fucking rewiring itself. And I'm starting to get emotional because it was just like, I have been mentally ill my entire life. And I'm finally at a point where I am liberating myself from the confines of being a sick person. It's just so empowering. I cannot express to you the importance of feeling empowered like that over your own body, your own mind, and it being effortless. My body and brain are just doing it because they already have the tools, and the DNA activation, the potentiation, whatever you want to call it, it gave me the support I needed for my body to do the work that it's already capable of doing. And that's another thing that I really need you to understand about potentiation. We already have the tools. Sometimes we just need a little push, a little incentive. So yeah, day 22, monumental. Day 27. So I'm like 3 weeks into an autoimmune flare. Mouth sores are still healing. My throat was feeling really weak and sore. And that is another thing that I have struggled with for so many years. Also pretty much my entire life is dealing with chronic throat issues. And going to specialists and then being like, I don't know why. I know why, trauma, but you know. But dreams are feeling really deeply transformative. I think at this point I wasn't really remembering and able to recall my dreams, but feeling profoundly different upon waking. But I was also feeling really emotional, and I knew it was just like purging of mental health gunk. Day 32, completely exhausted, physically, mentally, and spiritually, still very emotional, and feeling more of those echoes. So yeah, just you know, I was exhausted because I had been sick for a month, and also because I was just changing so rapidly that, you know, you're gonna feel that. You're not superhuman yet. But here's another really beautiful thing that was also, I started crying in this video that I was watching. It was like a light switch was flipped. I suddenly felt completely safe in my romantic relationship with my spouse. I, being borderline, that one of the most classic symptoms is feeling really, really insecure and feeling really unsafe in relationships, and having this severe fear of being abandoned. And not that I didn't trust my husband, but there was always a part of me that would just, anytime we weren't around each other, I would worry, like, what's he doing? What's he doing behind my back? It would be really, because, you know, because of our relationship dynamic, we don't live together. We're very happy, but we just have to live separately right now. It's really easy for him to be dishonest if he wanted to be. And so it was one of those things that would tend to come between us a lot. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, out of the blue seemingly, I just started to trust him in a really, really peaceful, secure, deeply knowing kind of way. Like, my core was trusting him. And it was another one of those insanely profound moments for me, especially any of you that might have borderline symptoms. Like, you know how traumatizing that fear is that your partner's going to leave you, and then all of a sudden I don't feel it anymore. Not to say that I, to this day, don't experience pings of jealousy or insecurity, because I'm human, but it's not coming from a borderline place. It's not coming from a mentally ill place. It's not coming from desperation. Just huge. Like, if that's all I get out of potentiation, that's all I need. That's it. Because having that insecurity and that fear of abandonment ruined my life at a certain point. At many points. But there's one big long point where it really ruined my life. So if I could just never experience that again, praise the freaking gods. Okay? Okay. Day 33, I was having a lot of leg pain. Your legs, they correspond to your root chakra. So I was clearly going through a lot of like family stuff at this point, you know, like having this new sense of security in my relationship. I was doing a lot of purging with family and security, and that's what your root chakra is all about. But I'm having all of this leg pain to the point where it's just like almost debilitating, like I can barely move. And so I decided to do some cupping on myself. You know, being a massage therapist, I'm like, I know how to help. And so I did some cupping on myself, and I was able to draw out, which was literally black goo. I'm not exaggerating. There are pictures of it on my Instagram and maybe Facebook too. Seriously, go back and look at the pictures. And there was so much. Like, I might have collected, like, if I was to put it into a measuring cup, maybe like half a cup, which is way too much. That should be coming out of your skin. And I wondered, like, could it just be like dye from my clothing because I wear black clothes all the time? But I always make sure that I wash my clothes before I wear new ones. And also, like, I've cupped my legs before and never had anything like that. And And so it's just like, it doesn't really make sense, other than the fact that my body was finally releasing like really, really deep stored toxins in my muscle and fat tissues. And that's why it hurts so much, is because it all wanted to come out really bad. And after I cut myself, like I was still sore for a few days afterwards, but I felt so much better. But after I did that, I think I had to go get my kids from school immediately after. And as I'm like waiting in line in my car to get the kids, I just started like having all of this mom grief flow through me, like all of this guilt and, you know, just resentment that I have held towards myself for not being a good mom sometimes. Like all of it was just like coming out. Like I was crying like a baby. And so I think, like I said, like it being connected to my root chakra, I was healing a lot of family stuff. And then day 40, I write down emo purging big time. So a lot of emotional purging, day 40 as well. That's kind of, which I'm not surprised. Like I said, I have unbelievable amounts of trauma that I have experienced in my life. Grew up in a really traumatic household, and then I kept perpetuating those cycles in my personal relationships and attracting really not so great people who hurt me over and over and over and over and over again, and being borderline personality. You know, like borderline people have the ability to jump from partner to partner to partner to partner to partner like it's nobody's business. And I did a lot of that over the years. And so it was a lot of opportunity for me to be hurt on a very, very deep level and to have those traumas really reinforced. So yeah, purging a lot of emotional stuff. Day 44, I remember saying I felt like the biggest idiot ever. I felt so dumb during this time. I felt like I lost my ability to just finish sentences. There was a big strain in my ability to communicate. I was brutally exhausted. And that's, you know, with my communication stuff, that's not surprising because I have so much trauma in my throat chakra and feeling unheard. And so, again, it makes sense why I would be going through some of that. But again, there was always an upside with all of this. There was always, in every single video, I always had an upside. Even though I was going through all of this, I was feeling stronger every day and more capable every single day. Didn't matter what negative shit I was going through or perceived negative shit. I felt stronger and more capable and more grounded in myself every single day. All right, day 51. I was moving through sexual trauma at this point, and my energy was up. Day 54, my dreams were becoming incredibly violent and sad and confusing. And then day 60, question mark, because I wasn't sure in the video, I was doing a lot of trauma healing and self-worth healing, but feeling totally fine. It's just hilarious. Like, I'm going through all this stuff, but I feel totally fine. It's such a weird, you know, polarity to carry within yourself when, you know, I have lived in extremes for so long. And then all of a sudden, like, I can literally feel both ends of the spectrum at once. But like the most, you know, but the end of the spectrum that I felt most intensely was the one of security and groundedness and feeling safe and strong in myself. Just amazing. Like, literally, it just feels like a freaking miracle, you know? Like, there's no other way to describe it. And then at this point, I had stopped making videos. And I think really because of, you know, things with my job, with my business were changing really rapidly, and I just needed to prioritize that. Really needed to put my energy into that. And overall, like, even though I was going through a lot of like trauma healing stuff, I was still feeling like physically better. And I have continued to feel physically better. I think at this point I had gotten back into going to the gym and just feeling like I was able to move my body in a positive way more often. And I would say since then, some of the negative things I have gone through is more sexual trauma healing, and trauma healing in general, self-worth stuff I've been going through a lot. But ultimately, and I made a note, ultimately, what I feel more than anything is I feel like I have really healed the relationships in my life, or I've really been working towards having healthier dynamics with people in my life. My romantic relationship, my marriage is so much stronger than it's ever been. We have found this happy place between us, this really deep understanding, more compassion, more patience, more of all of the good stuff, and just unbelievable amounts of love. Just, we gush over each other constantly. Not to say that we haven't always done that to a degree, but it feels really, really, really genuine from both of us. And I think both of us feel more secure and more deeply committed. And yeah, it just feels like a healthy relationship. And we used to be the couple that was on again, off again for the first year and a half. And we're just not like that. We haven't been like that in a bit, but it's like we're really not like that now. And when we have arguments or misunderstandings, generally speaking, they're smoothed over relatively quickly, and we're able to meet each other with open hearts, and it just feels so much more rewarding all the time. I feel like I have been able to really start healing my relationship with my kids. I feel like I'm able to be more patient with them. And I feel like I can connect to them in a way that was difficult for me before. Something that I'm still working on, but is just I feel like I'm on the right path with healing the trauma that I've done to them. And that is special. I'm not gonna cry in this video, I swear. Also feeling like I'm more in the flow. Like if you know anything about like Abraham Hicks, they talk about like the vortex. I feel like I'm in the vortex all the time. And I'm reminded that I'm in the vortex all the time. My ability to attract what is in my highest good has really opened up, and it feels like there's so much more ease and room and just like effortlessness that I've always felt like I've had to really drill into, like really working hard for the things that I receive. And it just feels so much easier than before. And I feel like I have been insanely blessed in the last couple of months, especially the process of moving into this new insanely beautiful space that I've been able to create that is completely my own. and also, also able to, accrue another room that's going to be used for other things. So really growing this empire that I have dreamt about for so long now, I was able to accomplish it all, even though, on paper, the odds looked like they were stacked against me. And I was able to make it happen really fast. And it all just has felt really, really magical. And I'm so grateful. And I do honestly wonder if it would have been this easy had I not potentiated. Not to say that there haven't been struggles and mishaps, and there have been, but it's happened. Like, it's done. I'm here, and it's amazing. And a lot of people came to my rescue, essentially, to make it happen. My intuition is on fleek. I feel like my intuition with my clients and myself and the people around me has really just rooted itself into my being. I feel so much more awake in my third eye. I feel more confident in practicing my intuition and my abilities to see deeper than what's in front of you. I had a really profound session with a client recently that was like, wow, no, like, okay. I feel crazy when I'm receiving these downloads, and I'm always like, I really hope that this is real and I'm not just pulling this out of my ass. I'm not just like projecting. And then she really was able to like confirm all the things that I was experiencing with her without words. And it was just like, and I'm getting more and more of that all the time. And it just feels really, magical keeps being the word. It just all feels so magical. I feel more magical. I feel like my life in general is so much more magical. And it just keeps getting better. I don't have hard days like I used to. Don't get me wrong, I'm still fatigued. And I still have some mouth sores that have been there for way too long. I still experience throat issues. I still have a lot of chronic body pain stuff. But I can tell it's all healing. And my life keeps getting more rewarding every single moment that passes. And there's not a doubt within myself that it's not. I feel so sure of the beauty in my life. And that by the time, so like month 5, I'm almost, I want to say I'm like maybe 3.5, maybe 4, almost 4 months. I meant to look at what day I'm at exactly. Almost 4 months in. It's a 9-month-long journey. Month 5 is when that black hole of dismal negativity, that's supposed to be sealed in month 5. And so I'm about a month away of sealing that. And I guess that's when you can really start to expect the miracles of like, I don't have all of these issues anymore. That's from other people's testimonials. That's what they have experienced, is like month 5 is like the really big turnaround point. So you can expect 5 months of purging. And then the last 4 months, I would imagine is like integration of like higher frequency stuff. So I'm really looking forward to reaching that landmark. And I hope that I didn't scare anybody off with my journey. Again, I've had a lot of issues in my life. My doctor, she loves me. My naturopath, she loves me, and she always says, I'm always learning something from you. I've always been a medical mystery my entire life. And so it's no surprise that I have experienced what I have, and I don't expect it to be like that for many other people. But even if it is, I imagine you will have the same deep inner peace that I have had. Because out of all the testimonials I've read, and there's a lot of them on the phoenixrising.com is the website for like the regenetics method and stuff. You can go on there, you can read the testimonials, you can get the books, Potentiate Your DNA and also Conscious Healing. You can read those, they have testimonials. And the most consistent thing that I think every person has commented on is an inner peace of like, yeah, sometimes life is hard, but I feel really safe and secure in myself. And I think that alone is worth giving this a shot. If that's all you get out of it, how could you not want that? To feel really serene within yourself, feeling empowered, not feeling like you're just, you know, a side character, like an extra in your own existence, feeling like you're in the driver's seat, you're the one in control, you make the choices, and you get to have an experience in this body that serves you because you are good within yourself. That's what I've been feeling. That's what I can see other people feeling. And I want that for so many people. And I know this is a long video, and I really appreciate you if you've gotten this far. And I wanted to be completely honest because I think it's really easy for people in my line of work or people who are in the energy world, the woo world, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of, you know, it's that toxic positivity. It's that, you know, pretending like if you just change your vibrations, like everything will be fine. Like you're the thing holding yourself back. And like, if you just change your mind, then you won't ever have to experience pain again. And it's no, like your body has experienced life with you, and it's containing every single memory and every single bad thing that's ever happened to you, every single toxin that's ever entered your body. It's all within you. It's all within your field. And you're gonna have to let that shit go first. And that's a fucking process. That's a real fucking process, and a necessary one if you want to be your highest, most authentic self. So I hope that you have been able to take away from this whatever it is that you've needed, and I really look forward to facilitating this evolutionary process for whoever wants it. I love you, and I thank you, and I look forward to talking to you in the future.